Welcome back to Appleton, Wisconsin, Fox Cities Stadium, Time Warner Cable Field, the site of the 2011 Division III Baseball Championships. For D3Baseball.com, I'm Pat Coleman. This is Jim Dixon, the executive editor and the managing editor of D3 Sports and D3Baseball.com, where we're running down day 2 of the Division III Baseball Championships, a day in which Kean, the 2007 national champion, goes home, as does Western New England College in its first trip to Appleton, his first trip to the championships round at any site. And the 2-0 teams, number 1 ranked, unanimous number 1 Marietta advances and will play against Buena Vista, the surprise team, or one of the surprise teams of this NCAA tournament. Jim, as we run down the 4 games here today, the 2 teams were eliminated, leading to 3 games tomorrow. First of all, I think go back to early in the morning. Kean, which is now 1-6 since it won its national championship here in Appleton, and Salisbury really jumped up quickly on them in a 10-3 win.
The head coach for Kean, he looks back at the 2000 championship and appreciates it more and more each year as he comes in now for his 3rd year, coming in, losing quickly. It's not what we expected to see out of Kean.
Yeah, Kean was in a position, of course, they had a first-team All-American outfielder coming into the weekend in Ken Gregory. He ends up going 1 for 8 in the 2 games in the quick 2-and-out. Lee Cavaco, one of the maybe the only surprise or the bright spot on offense for the Cougars this weekend.
Oh, I don't think there's any surprise about Lee Cavaco and his ability to hit the ball.
Right.
He was 3 for 4 today. He's 5 for 7 in the series. Really, he was the bright spot for Kean in the tournament.
So Salisbury, you mentioned, jumped out early. They got 3 runs in the first and 2 more in the second. Went up 5, then went up 7-0 after 4. A lot of the damage done in the 3 and 4 spots in the order. Brian Green, 3 for 5 with 3 ribs, and then Devin Qualietta following him.
Absolutely, hitting the ball and driving it into the green was important. But what you can't forget is that Salisbury got hit with the leadoff batter 4 times in the first 5 innings. They were able to sit there and execute the sacrifice bunt. And when they couldn't execute the sacrifice bunt, they were bunting for singles, and they were and Kean was unable to sit there and defend it. So
the pitching hero for Salisbury this afternoon, Dustin Herbert, the left-hander, started at first base in the loss to Marietta on Friday. Takes the mound, goes 8 1/3, gives up 9 hits, just 2 earned runs. Great performance.
It really was.
6 strikeouts and a walk. And on the other side, Kevin Herget picks up the loss. 7 earned runs in 5 innings. You mentioned the 4 hit by pitches. Kind of a real turnaround, really, for Kean, which had been a team that had been on the receiving end of a lot of hit by pitches, one of the top 2 teams in the country, along with Wisconsin-Whitewater, who's also here, and then just kind of lost its control between Russo yesterday and Herget on Saturday. Not a real good pitching weekend.
Well, with Russo, it was not necessarily a surprise because he hasn't pitched well in the last couple games. But Hervé,
I'm going with Herget, I'm sorry.
Herget was a surprise. He's been pitching well, and this is his first loss of the year.
So Kean's season ends at 42-11. Salisbury survives, and they will advance at 34-13. The other elimination game, Wisconsin-Whitewater, I don't know if the hometown favorite, but certainly the area favorite, brought a lot of fans back up from Whitewater this afternoon. Those guys did not go home disappointed today. They defeated Western New England by the score of 8-3.
It was a great game for the hometown or for the home state Whitewater Warhawks.
Yeah, Jeff Donovan, who a frustrating game on Friday, especially from the pitching aspect. He ended up getting a no decision, but gave up 4 earned runs in the first round loss to Buena Vista. Came out and set the tone early, I think would be the cliche here.
He really did. He had a 2 RBI triple, sit there bringing some runs. Once they had the 3 runs in that first inning, Whitewater was off and running, and there was very little that Western New England College was able to do.
Yeah, Western New England did scratch together a couple of runs off Justin Lambert. Both of them earned to cut the lead to 3-2, but Whitewater answered with a pair of runs in the 6th, 3 more runs in the 7th, including an RBI double by Jeff Donovan as well to put that game away. A lot of the damage being done by the top 4 guys in the order for the Warhawks. Rob Coe, literally a hometown boy out of right here in Appleton, Wisconsin. 2 for 3 with 3 runs scored. Daniel Putnam with a couple runs scored out of the leadoff spot. Andrew Eichstadt. I mean, basically, actually, gloss over the fact that the bottom 3 in the order went hitless, but the top of the order got the 8 runs and did the damage.
It really was, and you got to give credit to the head coach for sitting there and getting the team ready to play. When we talked to them after the game, boy, they were a loose bunch. They looked like they're ready to sit there and play another game. You'd never know how far the Wisconsin-Whitewater team is going to go.
So for Western New England, the bright spot, Jason Leclerc, the catcher, who did a great job shutting down the Keystone running game in a 2-1 loss on Friday night. 2 for 4 with a pair of RBIs, one of them late when the game was out of hand. And then Ryan Dudzinski is an honorable mention. D3Baseball.com All-American really struggled this weekend.
He really did. He's 1 for 7 for the 2 games, and we probably expected a little bit more coming from the DH spot. And when you only get 1 hit out of 7, it's just not going to cut it.
So Whitewater survives. They improved to 37-12. Justin Lambert got the win. He's 6-4, and Zach Kloft got the loss. He fell to 8-3. Western New England's season ends at 42-11. Moving on to the winners bracket, and Buena Vista, the surprise team, maybe following the path that Illinois Wesleyan blazed last year. The Central Region champs. They come in on a roll, but unranked in the final regular season top 25 poll and unranked in the coaches poll as well. They come away with an 8-5 win against Keystone tonight.
Yes, nobody expected Buena Vista to be here still with 2 wins and no losses. People were saying if any team was going to come in here and go 0-2, it was going to be BV. But they've surprised everybody. They've taken 2 games now from also newcomers to the tournament. And so they're doing quite well.
Yep. Beat Wisconsin-Whitewater on Friday, beat Keystone tonight. A pair of hits for Brad Bloom, Kevin Claver, and Ryan Sheets. You mentioned the surprise team. And Brad Bloom's second hit, the first hit was a nice ringing double in the first inning, but the second hit, the surprise one, the bunt with 2 outs to help keep the rally alive in the 6th.
It was a surprise to Keystone, but they had not scouted BV. This is something that Bloom had been doing all season long. He looks for opportunity to lay down the bunt. He saw the opportunity, and he went for it, and he laid down a perfect bunt.
Gabe Torres playing too far back in the middle of a crazy top of the 6th inning. I mean, we could sit here and run through the play-by-play, and to be honest with you, it's about 60 words long here. We've got a couple wild pitches, error on the third baseman, a dropped foul pop-up, which led to a wild pitch, which led to the 4th run of the inning. And, Keystone had just come back with 3 runs to tie it in the bottom of the 4th and gave 4 runs back in the 6th.
The errors really hurt Keystone. Buena Vista took advantage of every chance that they were given. And as you said, the errors really tell the story of this game.
I liked the performance of Michael Dirks, the starting pitcher for the Beavers tonight. 7 innings pitched. He'd give up 11 hits and a pair of walks. Nobody's defense was particularly stellar behind them in this game tonight. But they talked in the post-game news conference about how Dirks last year was just a fastball pitcher, and this year he was a much more complete pitcher.
Yes, he now has command of 3 different pitches, and he's not going to go in there and throw fastball after fastball. He's going to sit there, he's going to throw his changeup, he's going to throw a fastball, he's going to throw a couple off-speed pitches, he's going to get several of them over the plate for strikes. He really has turned out to be quite an effective pitcher for BV.
So Buena Vista jumps on top with the 2 runs early. Andrew Ciano with a solo homer in the bottom of the first to cut the deficit for Keystone to 2-1. Buena Vista answers with 2 more runs in the top of the 2nd, tied up with the 3 runs in the 4th, 4 runs in the 6th. But really, as much as, obviously the runs are what count, but the third line or third column on the scoreboard, the error totals, 2 errors for Buena Vista tonight, but 5 for Keystone. Keystone gave up the 8 runs, but Rob Rogers was only charged with 2 earned runs.
When you look at it, Keystone gave up 2 earned runs, BV gave up 3. If the errors didn't count, we'd be looking at Keystone going into the winners tournament. But I'd look back at the 8th inning. 1 run in for Keystone, 2 runners on base. They come in, they get a strikeout, and then you just get a magnificent play where the ball goes through the first baseman's legs and the second baseman was able to sit there and corral it and throw it onto the pitcher. This is the example of why BV is where they are. The players are playing their positions.
Yeah, it was Dylan Colo coming over, and Dylan Colo is the second baseman, Ryan Sheets the first baseman. Went to the same high school, played together for a long time. Cole, I guess, accustomed to backing him up, and not that you don't automatically back up that play anyway. The right fielder's probably backing up that play too, if I remember from my playing days. I did a lot of that. But to get that kind of I don't want to say a surprise confluence of events, but just everything kind of sat right for them. And you mentioned, Keystone's got a run in already. They got 2 runners on in scoring position and nobody out. And to come away with just one run, that really deflated them.
Oh, it really is. And you can tell that both dugouts really responded to that. Keystone was quiet and BV was very loud. But I looked also on the other side, and I didn't see Keystone playing as fundamentally sound as they should have. There were a lot of times where the players weren't backing up where they should. And Keystone is going to have to be a lot more solid fundamentally if they want to get further in the tournament. And if anybody can, they can. Keystone has a lot of pitching left. They got 3 good starters left, and they know how to hit the ball. And when you get deep in the tournament into day 3, 4, and 5, hitting becomes very important because now you're working into the back ends of your pitching staff.
And they will come back and play in an elimination game on Sunday. Michael Dirks got the win. He improved to 5-2. Rob Rogers with the loss. He falls 6-2, and Tyler Lefebvre gets the save, his second of the season. And that brings us back. That brings us to our the final game we're going to talk about. It was the third game of the afternoon, the first winners bracket game, and that's Marietta defeating Chapman by the score of 9-4. And Jim, just another really excellent pitching performance by a Marietta starter here.
Oh, it really was. He was pitching well. Maybe he wasn't fielding balls as well he should have because Austin Blasky had a couple errors on the day. And at 9-4, the score really is not indicative of the way the game went. Marietta was able to get 4 runs in the 9th inning to sit there and really salt it away.
Yeah, it was 5-2 going into the 9th. Blasky's out of the game by then. Marietta comes up with a 4 spot in the top half of the 9th. Justin Hanks comes in relief, gives up a pair of inherited runners that Jordan Sigmund left on, and then Justin Hanks gave up 2 runs of his own for that 4 spot. And then, I don't know if enough to know if Kyle Lindquist lost his focus or was just trying to, finish the game out, but gave up a pair of runs in the bottom half of the inning. Neither of them earned, obviously, and none of the 4 runs that Marietta allowed on Saturday were earned, but made 9-4 is not a particularly reflective final score.
No, and when you talk to the head coach, Brian Brewer said, we were lucky to get out here with a win. You play a caliber team like Chapman, and you give 4 errors on the board, you're going to lose. In this case, it didn't hurt them. They were able to survive and make it to the winners bracket final.
So it'll be Marietta against Buena Vista on Sunday in the final, and then 2 elimination games earlier in the day in the matchups with the Salisbury against Keystone and Wisconsin-Whitewater against Chapman. Did I get that right?
Exactly right.
Pass the test. He's Jim Dixon. I'm Pat Coleman. That's day 2 of the 2011 Division III Baseball Championships from Appleton, Wisconsin. Don't forget, stay tuned for more Division III baseball coverage throughout the weekend and throughout the rest of the season here on D3Baseball.com.